Fantastic. Okay, well, first of all, thank you very much for coming. I know it's short notice with this. It's sort of only occurred to me a few days ago how close Lakeside really was, and that people probably would want the opportunity to get anything they needed to get during the Easter break. So hopefully that gives you that opportunity. We're really very pleased, very excited to be going to Lakeside this year. We haven't had the opportunity to go for well, since 2019. We were all set to go in 2020, but obviously COVID hit. And obviously I know your children haven't had the opportunity to be on a residential with school before, so this is really special and really important for them. So we want to do our absolute utmost to try to make it as enjoyable as an experience as we possibly can. And to be honest, Lakeside is a great venue. It's a really fantastic venue. We're really lucky to be able to go there. So here is, this is one of the views that we get from YMCA Lakeside. I mean, it's absolutely stunning the whole time that they're there. It is something really very impressive, and very, you spend the whole time literally just looking at the scenery around you. It is so amazing. So they will really have a fantastic time. So I've got a few sort of bits that I'm going to share with you today. So the plan is to talk about, just practical stuff, really, kit lists, the activities that children are going to be doing, just anything practical. But please, as I go through, if you've got any questions, please do pop them into the chat, and I'll try and answer at any point that I can, but probably more likely at the end as we go through. So first bits and pieces. So we leave on Sunday the 15th of May. So SATS week is the week prior to that. And then so they do tests Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously got Friday in school, and then Saturday, then Sunday we are leaving. So hoping that people will arrive at the school about 9 o'clock in the morning. Ideally not too much before that, because obviously staff are going to be giving up sort of 6 days of their lives to look after everyone. So obviously they probably appreciate having a bit of time for a last coffee and things like that before heading off. But so around 9 o'clock if you could arrive, and the coach is planning on leaving at about 9:30. Now I'm going to say it now that the coach will be limited in space. We're taking more children this year than I think we've ever taken before. So we've got 61 children going this year out of our 64, and we're really pleased to be able to do that, and 7 adults as well. So 68 people going on one coach. If you could try to keep luggage to the minimum that's needed, that'd be good. So ideally soft bags for the children to take would be better than hard cases, because they'd obviously fit in to the coach better. And they will need a sleeping bag as well. We'll talk about that in a separate bag. But again, the sort of less space that takes up, the better, really. Obviously, it's a long journey to the Lake District. Takes about 6 hours, including a stop. So we're aiming to arrive at YMCA Lakeside around about 3:30 in the afternoon. So we generally stop at Stafford North Services. The reason we stop there is because they've got a lovely lake and sort of grassed area that children can have a walk around and stretch their legs and things like that. Then on the way back, Friday the 20th of May, so we aim to leave Lakeside as much as we possibly can at around about 9:30 in the morning, and around about 4 o'clock, it may be a bit earlier than that, tends to be between 3:30 and 4, we will arrive back at St Nick's. We're lucky this time. Normally we come back at the beginning of a bank holiday weekend. That's not the case this year, so hopefully the traffic will be okay, and we'll get back in good time. So there we are, another fantastic view. This is literally just down from where the children are camping, not too far away, the next field along, and they get these fantastic views of the Lake District mountains. So some further practical information. So on that day that we leave, the children will need a packed lunch and water bottle, and probably a snack or two as well. Please though, it's really important that they are packed in whatever hand luggage the children are carrying, because obviously if they're packed inside the suitcases, we can't get the packed lunch and water bottle out, and so they would be without food. We have had that a couple of times. We've had to end up buying lunch for children and things like that. But please, if you can remember to make sure that packed lunch is in whatever they're carrying. They will also need, something to do on the coach. Now, we would hope, I'm not even sure DVD players exist anymore, but we'd hope that there's a DVD player on the coach or something, possibly, that we can watch something, but it's not always the case, and they don't always work. So it's, they do need something to do on the coach. It's plenty of, they're excited, they want to talk to each other, and actually the journey goes really quickly, but it is useful to have something to do. And we do say no tablets or phones or anything like that, so no electronic devices at all, please, apart from possibly a camera. That's possibly the only thing we'd say is an electronic device. For the return journey, the Lakeside Centre provide a packed lunch for the children, so there's no problem with that. There's a picture of the challenge course at the centre. Few more bits and pieces. So we'd ask that suggest that children bring around about £15 as in pocket money. Now, it really, there's not a lot to spend money on there. So there's a small shop at the Lakeside Centre which sells a few sweets and snacks and things, and a few souvenirs. They don't get that much opportunity to go there. There's not a huge amount of free time. We will also be going to a place called Brockhole one day, which is the Lake District sort of national centre, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe buy a few souvenirs there, or children often buy an ice cream there after our mountain day, and possibly there may also be a one other shop that we may be able to go to, but that does depend on time and things. So if children can bring their pocket money in a named purse or wallet, and actually hand that into the group leader, that would be really helpful. The reason that we ask people to do that is because the tents that the children will be sleeping in can be very difficult to find things in sometimes, and the last thing we want is children not being able to spend their money because they can't find it. So we tend to keep it with the group leader and give it to them when we go out for the day, or that when there's an opportunity to get to use the shop. Any medication needs to be handed to Mrs. Crowther on the morning at the beginning of the as children dropped off for the coach, and obviously if there's any information you need to give about that medication in terms of when it needs to be given, how often, that sort of thing, then please make sure that's passed on as well. Clear instructions for administration. And if your child needs travel sickness pills, if you could make sure they're taken in advance of coming to school on that morning. Just to be aware that obviously travel sickness tablets for the way back will need to be packed and given to Mrs. Crowther as well. So that's obviously part of the medication that we'd be talking about. And there is a coach journey while we're there as well, which tends to be the windiest one, because that's actually going through the Lake District to the mountain for the mountain day. So really important, particularly if your child is likely to suffer from travel sickness, that something is packed for that day. There's a picture of some of our children kayaking on Windermere, which we will definitely be getting the opportunity to do this year. What's going on here? Why haven't I got anything? Yeah, so we take the children put the children into groups. As I say, we've got 61 children this year, so there's 5 groups. Obviously, we'll have 12 or 13 children in each. We normally give them a name: A, B, C, D, E, alligators, bunnies, chipmunks, ducklings, eagles. It's a sort of lakeside tradition. And all of the activities will take place in those groups. There's some activities where we join up with other groups, but generally it is all the activities are within the group that they'll be in. For all of the activities, we know that children, this is the first time they've had an opportunity to be out and about and doing these things. We won't be forcing any child to take part in any activity, but we do encourage all children to take part, because that's what they're there for. That's what we want them to do. As I say, some activities you have more than one group together. So, I'm just wondering if that was That should, I think, be an activity list, but it's not coming up. I might have to look and see if I can see it on my own screen in a few minutes. Hopefully it may come up later. So in terms of tents, as I say, children sleep in tents. They're pretty big tents, but they're very waterproof, very secure, very windproof as well. We had one year where we had horrendous wind, but all of the children's tents were absolutely perfect, and they're far enough away from trees and things like that, so they're completely safe. So tents for up to 8 children. What we'll do early next term, we're going to ask the children to name up to 4 friends, and we'll make sure that every child is with at least one person that they've chosen. So that we'll be basing the tent groupings on who we think will enable sensible night sleeps and things like that. So we make sure that we mix the tents up, but also that children are with people they want to be with. And generally, we tend to let the children know the tent groupings on arrival, because what we found in the past is that people sometimes, if we tell people groups in advance, that people try and change their groups, and it can cause problems. So we will let people know the tent groupings on arrival. So tent rules. So we want tents to be tidy for the reason that I've said. They are quite dark within the tents, it's really important that they keep their own stuff to themselves, because otherwise you'll end up with someone else's boxer shorts or when they come home, which I'm sure you don't particularly want. Children will need to bring a torch. As I say, the tents are quite dark at night. We are going in mid-May, so I mean it's pretty light till 9, half 9ish. Generally in the Lake District, and tends to get light from about 5:30. I'll tell you why I know that in a few minutes. If they need the toilet at night or that sort of thing, they obviously will need a torch. So it's important that that's one of the most important pieces of equipment that they'll need. And nighttime, as I say, we generally, our day goes through till around about 9:30 when we put the children to bed, and we then have lights out, and we basically at that point expect the children to be quiet and to go to sleep. And normally we will sort of patrol the tents until everyone's settled. Obviously teachers need to be able to have their sleep so that they can be fresh and looking after the children as much as possible. Just so that you're aware, teachers' tents are sort of in the same field, just a little bit in front of the children's tents. So obviously if there's a need at any point, the children can come and get one of us, and we'll be fine, and we'll be there. The mornings, we tend to wake up around about 7 o'clock in the morning, ready for breakfast at 8. The first morning is always a problem, because children do tend to wake up at first light on the first morning, but we do find that after that first morning, generally they're pretty settled until in fact we have to wake them up. And we do say children aren't allowed into other people's tents, and in the morning they're not allowed out of their tents until we say so. Obviously they may need to go to the toilet, but other than that, they're not allowed out of their tents unless an adult says so. It's not working brilliantly, this PowerPoint today with the photos. There's supposed to be one of the rock climbing there, which I have to say is oops, dear me, not working very well at all. Which is fantastic. Rock climbing, you often go rock climbing on climbing walls with man-made handholds and things. This is actually, we get to climb a proper rock, and it is fantastic. The food is really high quality. It's great. It's provided on site. There's a new building that has been built, which is just in front of the tented areas where we'll be going for our meals, and where there's sort of dormitories for people that are sleeping for groups that are sleeping indoors. And fantastic dining room there, really lovely facilities that are there, and really high quality food. As I say, they provide packed lunches for us for when we have off-site activity days for our final day. All of the meals apart from that are cooked, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, all cooked meals. And there are quite a few options for children to choose from. So it's not just one thing, and we found that we haven't really ever had a problem with anyone's eating, however fussy they may be. So there is always something for children to eat. They do obviously also cater for vegan, vegetarian, halal, any diet that's that they need to. Obviously, they do need to know in advance, and I think that is on the medical forms that you have been given. That there is a place to indicate, I think, if there are any dietary needs, and if you could add that, even if there isn't a spot, if you could add that, that would be really helpful. We do say children can bring one small pack of sweets, but nothing more than that, because what we don't want is children getting sort of sugar rushes or anything like that, and not being able to sleep. And I'm sure you don't want that as parents either. So we really do ask, please, that, you know, one small packet of sweets for the journey, but nothing more than that, please. Oops. Right, where are we? Right, so kit list. So before I go on to the kit list, I'm going to try and find the activities. It's not giving me, it's not saying it. So I'm going to tell you the activities instead. So I'll stop sharing my screen for a couple of minutes. So I'm not sure why that isn't coming up. So basically, the activities that are that we'll be doing this year. So we've unfortunately, there are a few activities that we would normally do that we're not able to do, which is a bit of a shame, because there's a couple of reasons for that. So firstly, there's been a lot, some really heavy winds up in the Lake District earlier in the year, and some of the it's really affected the site quite badly. So there are certain things that aren't actually possible to do, and also they've got quite a lot of other schools staying at the time, so they've had to work very carefully with their timetabling. But having said that, most of the things we normally do, we will be doing. So we will be sorry, we will be I'm trying to work out what I'm talking about here. So some of the activities, so we will be doing kayaking and canoeing on Lake Windermere. We've also got raft building this year, which is one we haven't done for a few years. That's a really great activity. So there's lots of activities on the lake, which to me is one of the main reasons that we're going up there. So I'm really pleased about that. So yeah, so kayaking, canoeing, raft building. We've also got a group canoe cookout, which is sort of half a day's activity, where the children basically they go in a really large canoe out to a sort of island or a point further up the lake, quite a long one. So it's a whole group in the canoe, unsinkable canoe, I have to say, on that one. And we do a proper journey on that. They then get to the area. They prepare their own food, normally a sort of pasta, sort of dried pasta meal, and eat it, have a bit of fun there, canoe back, and then do their washing up after, because obviously that's really important to do as well. It's a really enjoyable evening, that one, the group canoe cookout. So that's the water activities. We've also got climbing and abseiling that we'll be doing, which should be really good fun. We are going to, as well, we've got something called Nightline, which is I think it's a sort of team building, blindfolded team building activities, my understanding of that. We also, just got someone in the waiting room, I'll just let them in. We've also got archery is another activity we'll be doing, so always fun and involves a bit of competition. One on the Wednesday, on the Wednesday, we will be doing, in fact, it's this year it's changed slightly because we've got slightly larger groups. We're having to split this, so some children are doing it on the Tuesday and some are doing it on the Wednesday. We are doing a mountain day to Lough Rig. We were originally considering going to the Old Man of Coniston, but we've decided against that because we sort of feel it may be for some children a step too far, and particularly if the weather's not good, the Old Man of Coniston might not be fantastic. So we're going to go to Lough Rig, which is a sort of big hill, small mountain near Ambleside, which has some fantastic views of many of the Lake District mountains, and we're sort of climbing up that and having a fantastic day out. And on that day, that's when we go to Brockhole, the Lake District Centre, and the children can use the shop and buy an ice cream and go into. There's a nice adventure playground they can use there as well. And then the final day, the Thursday, is we sort of do some activities that are organised by our own staff, by Nick's staff who are there, and normally that involves doing an earth walk and visiting the bobbin mill that's nearby. This year we are unable to visit the bobbin mill because they're not open on the days we're there, unfortunately, which is a real shame. But we have made a decision to do a sort of hike to a place called High Dam that's nearby. So we thought that would be a really nice and enjoyable occasion and thing to do as a whole group. And we will still be doing our earth walk, which is our it's a sort of sensory experience. Really, it's one of the sort of things that we always do at St Nick's. It's a really great opportunity to appreciate the local environment. After doing a slightly different area of Lakeside this year, because of some of the damage to some of the trees and things that have happened, and some of the danger that's there. But that's really important, that just so that you're aware that Lakeside staff are very aware of the dangers that are on the site, and they are making sure that we will stay only in the areas that are safe and that they know are safe. Final evening, we always do an orienteering competition with our children. So children go off in groups of 3 to take part in the orienteering course around the site. Again, because of the damage this year, we have to use a slightly different orienteering course to make sure that the children are safe, which we know they will be. So just want to reassure you of that, really. But we'll still be doing our orienteering competition, which is always fiercely contested by the children, or by most of the children. Some children struggle with it a little bit, and they sort of come back after a little while saying that they're lost, but not actually lost, but sort of just never quite sure how to find anything on their map. But that's always happens, and it's part of the fun of what we do. Final day, as I say, we get up, we have breakfast and pack, and we head off around about 9:30, heading back to Newbury. I'm going to share my screen again so you've got the PowerPoint back up. Here we go. So kit list. So yeah, basically we are going in mid-May. The last 3 years that we went, the weather was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The whole time we were there, it was warm, it was sunny, it was gorgeous. But it's still worth bearing in mind that even when the weather is like that during the day, it is cold at night, really cold at night. So it's really important to have warm clothes. So things that we recommend, so definitely a warm coat. Ideally, if they can wear that onto the coach, that would be helpful, because it saves something that's packed. They need some shoes for the water sessions. They suggest a pair of old trainers, and then obviously they'll need some shoes for sessions on land. Lakeside do provide walking boots for anyone that needs them, but obviously if your child's got their own walking boots, they're welcome to bring them, but don't feel you have to go out and buy them. Obviously trousers, shorts, that sort of thing. They recommend not jeans, because obviously jeans are not great if it gets wet. And of course long sleeve tops, that's that sort of thing, t-shirts, socks, all the things that you would normally expect. Hat and gloves would be recommended. It can get really cold, and I say we've had lovely weather the last few years, but doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get that this year. Wellies, probably a good idea. Useful for being able to put on your feet quickly to go up to go out of the tent to the toilet. Always a good idea. Pajamas would be needed. Cool. That's Top of Luff Rig group that we had a couple of years ago. So a few other bits of kit list. So a torch and possibly spare batteries if it's. I mean, some people bring wind-up torches, but torch, maybe spare batteries if you need them. Definitely wash kit. We will be insisting that children have showers, particularly after they have water activities, and obviously towel as well. Drinking bottles, definitely. Sleeping bag is essential. They will need to sleep in the sleeping bag, and we would suggest a small pillow or something, please not that takes up too much space, because again it is limited on the coach. And we would also recommend insect repellent, because the last few years have been pretty midge heavy, I would say. They are all over the place, and it tends to be particularly in the afternoons and evenings. Everywhere you go, there are midges all around your face. And definitely sun cream as well. It's, you know, if the weather is like it's been the last few years, they really will need sun cream. Obviously lunchbox for their lunches on the way. We recommend a disposable camera rather than you know, sort of anything that's worth any sort of large amount of money, because, you know, if a disposable camera gets damaged, it's not that awful. Although having said that, part of me is thinking the disposable camera is not great for the environment. So I'll leave it up to people's own views on that. Plastic bags for dirty clothes, quite important. At least that way, you know, once they've finished with their clothes, they can put them in a plastic bag, they can put them into their case or bag, and they're sort of out of their way, and it's easier for them to pack. Yeah, we recommend stamped address postcards that they can send home to you, just so that they, you know, it's that sort of knowing that they've got there safely, and just having that opportunity for them to write. And I'll give you the address later if you want to write to them. As I say, Lakeside do provide walking boots and waterproofs, but if your child's got their own, then feel free to bring them. And obviously waterproof jacket and trousers would be a good idea as well. We have had years where we have had a lot of rain, and, you know, it doesn't spoil the enjoyment, but, you know, obviously they need to have the right kit in that situation. So I've sent out, you should have had by email this week, a kit list, which has basically been pretty much what I've said on there. You should have had a medical form, which, if you could return it as soon as possible, email is fine. And obviously, if there's any dietary information, if you can include that on there as well. And you should have had the final instructions letter. You haven't yet had the draft timetable, because I only got that today, and I haven't actually, it doesn't seem to have fitted into the PowerPoint properly. So I do apologize for that, but I will try and send that out after the holidays. And I think that's just about it. So what I'll do is I'll look and see if there's any questions. So chewing gum, we would ideally ask not chewing gum, if that's okay. Yeah, no, we would prefer not chewing gum, because obviously it can create quite a mess and not be great. So no chewing gum, just a sort of small pack of sweets or something like that, if anyone has anything. Does anyone have any other questions at all? Waterproof trousers are, well, they may be essential, but so waterproof trousers could be, they're certainly needed, but they, you know, in certain situations, and particularly if it's cold on the water activities. But as I say, Lakeside do provide waterproof trousers, so if you do, there's no need to specifically get any. So next one says, are the groups mixed across the classes? So basically, yes, they can be, or they may not be. So what we'll try and do is we will, as much as we possibly can, try and get people with groups that we think they'll be good in, groups that are sort of mixture of friends and things like that. Another one, are tents single sex? Yes, they are. We tend to have the boys down one end of the line and the girls down the other end of the line, if we can, with a sort of the pathway in between as well, so that generally they're not mixing at all within that area. Next one, are the groups that share a tent the same groups that do the activities together? It's likely to be a bit of a mixture, so we will try to, so sometimes it is the case, sometimes it's not. It depends how we try to mix it up, so to make sure that people have the opportunity to be with as many friends as they possibly can. Any other questions? Okay. Right, that looks like we're about there. Well, I mean, we're really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a really great opportunity. The only thing I haven't said is I haven't mentioned COVID throughout this. And as all of the restrictions are gone, I am anticipating that COVID won't be an issue for us at all. However, as with any trip, you know, obviously if children become ill when they're on the trip, we may need to contact parents, and we might need to, I mean, it's a long way, but we might need to suggest people coming to collect in certain circumstances. We've never actually had to do that. So I hope that won't be the case, but I just want to just give you that sort of heads up just in case it does happen. And obviously if your child is ill on the day, and I know, you know, I know they'll really want to go, but please don't send them if they're not well, because we did have one year where we had a bit of a sort of sickness bug going around, and it was really very unpleasant because a lot of children and adults got it, and it was really not very nice. So obviously if your child is ill, please don't send them. Someone's asked me, can you choose only one person to put down for tents that you'll be guaranteed to be with? The answer to that is no, because that what would be, the difficulty is that if we felt that was someone that it wouldn't be appropriate for your child to be with, or that wouldn't work as a balance, then that wouldn't be a good mix, and we couldn't then guarantee it. So we asked children to put down 4 people, because that way we can make sure they're at least with one of those people, hopefully more than that. Okay, all right. Thanks very much indeed then, Ev. Oh, another one. Sorry, if a child is ill and can't attend, where do we stand in terms of refunds? My understanding is that we would provide a refund in that situation. I can't see why we wouldn't, really. I think that, you know, we want, because otherwise what would happen is people would send their children when they're ill, and that wouldn't work for anyone. So as far as I'm concerned, we would refund in that situation. Okay. All right. Thanks very much indeed, everyone. Bye.